Hi everyone. It's Thursday, as you know. Unless you've been away someplace in your mind. Yeah, it's Thursday, and I'm doing a lot of good things. And I've been doing a lot of thinking, a lot of soul searching, and a lot of research. So I figured a lot of things out. I haven't learned new things because I've already known all of these things, but I'm putting them now to good use. So that's how I figured things out. And I've discovered some things. Learning and discovering are two different things. I've discovered that there's a way of thinking that can radically change your life. And we all know the way you think is the way you put out energy, and that determines what energy comes back to you. But there's a lot more to it. And if you leave yourself open and receptive, um, you discover a lot of things because a lot of things come to you. And believe me, it's true. Try it. Try it when you're ready, and only when you're ready. Just, just, just sit in some serenity of the day. If you can carve out just a little piece of the day and sit in the quiet and the solitude of your home, wherever you live, just carve out a little space for yourself. And really, if you're really receptive and you just ask questions, answers will come to you. Um, I'm doing a lot better. I'm still very stressed out about my criminal court cases, but I've also gotten a lot of help. I've gotten a lot of help in again, leaving myself open to answers, and guidance comes, and I've let myself be guided towards resources that can help me. As far as getting help with a new attorney, no, I haven't gotten that, of course, but I think that something better has happened. A lot better has happened for me, and that the answer was not in so much getting a new attorney for the misdemeanor and felony case that I'm facing in one of the courts. It was in taking the right legal steps that I had to do myself, and it was a lot of work. But in getting guidance, leaving myself open to answers and getting guidance, I went to somebody who told me the things to file legally and the legal steps to take, and I did all those things, and I'm still doing them, and it's taken a lot of energy. It's taken a lot of work, but I've done all these things and I'm still in process. But I think that it's going in the direction that it needs to go to, and it's getting me to more beneficial places, I hope. But today's vlog is not necessarily uh, about my cases and the legal aspects. It's more about um, me and all of you, and how we got to where we got to in life, and taking guidance and lesson from them, because you can't determine where your life is going to go. And this is really about us as survivors. You know, I'm a survivor. I'm so strong. I'm really brave. I'm a soldier, and it's taken me a really long road to even get this far. I'm a child of two, uh, to put it in layman's terms, hardcore psychopaths. My mother was and is one, and my father was one, albeit each of them were psychopaths in two different ways. My father was a controlling psychopath. My mother is an underhanded, sneaky sociopath, manipulative. Um, and instead of me growing up to become a sociopath, I actually veered in the opposite direction. And yes, they really damaged me. And then I continued as an adolescent and an adult to damage myself. I've learned that just because people violate your boundaries and they encourage you not to have boundaries doesn't mean that you should continue not to have boundaries. I learned the hard way, very difficult way to have boundaries and to set standards for myself. And it took me a very long time, unfortunately, to do that. And I regret it. But my adversities and all that I've suffered through have made me the person that I am. And I like who I am today. It's been a journey, and it's still a journey. I'm still on the road. But Dorothy has learned a lot. And I'm better for it. I'm much better for it, as the saying goes. Maybe a couple weeks ago or so, I was volunteering at a clinic for homeless people, and the clinic was a clinic for physicians to come and give them free medical advice, free medical care, and medical help um, for those who needed it. And there were a lot of homeless people there, and I was so glad to be there to help in any way that I could. And while I was helping one of the physicians, um, he's an optometrist, and he was doing some visual adjustments for one of the patients. And he told the patient, he told him, your eyes will adjust. And that really made me think, and I think a lot, I analyze a lot, but this really made me think, your eyes will adjust. That's really interesting. Not from an optometry point of view, but from a life point of view. If you're a survivor of any spectrum, narcissist to sociopath to psychopath, and they're all the same, even if they do vary in degree. I'm trying not to be an armchair psychologist, and sometimes I might be, and that's okay. This is my humble opinion and unhumble experiences, that while your vision may adjust physically to things, your standards should never adjust from what you know is right. Not what you think is right, but from what you know is right. As survivors of narcissists, we are on varying spectrums of empathy, and we're, in so many words, bottom line, empaths. And being a child of sociopaths, I grew up, unfortunately, with no boundaries, and I attracted subconsciously narcissists to myself. And they can spot you, as they say, a mile away. They can spot you very easily because they're very learned in what they do. This is a craft to them. Just because they don't have the ability to empathize or feel with others doesn't mean that they don't have skills in their condition. And it's an acute condition. So they can spot, they're very good at spotting empaths. And those are the ones that I attracted into my life in relationships, and I never had lasting relationships. I didn't even have good relationships. And I not only attracted them into romantic relationships, my relatives are malignant narcissists. Um, I have an uncle, and I detest laying claim to these people as quote unquote my relatives, but they are. And one of them happened to be I have two uncles on my mother's side, maternal uncles, you can say. And the older uncle, Michael, this was when I was in college, my first year of college. My father had bought me a very nice car. It was pre-owned, but it was very, very nice. It had every feature. It ran and handled so smoothly, and I really, really liked this car a lot, needless to say. One year, when I had first gotten my car, my uncle came to California from Oregon to start making a life for his family here. He came here specifically and only to look for places to relocate his business, to look for an apartment for his wife and son. They had one son at the time. They eventually had a second son. So he came to California and he stayed with us in Northridge with my mother and I and my younger brother, Tim. And my younger brother didn't drive yet. He didn't have a license. I did. I was in college, and I had the really nice car. And then my mother had at the time a BMW, so she had a really nice car. But my uncle chose to pick on me, and because at that time I was still very naive to the ways of people and the ways of life. I thought I had known everything because I was molested by my mother's boyfriend at the age of about 11 going on 12. He was 35 at the time, and my mother knew all about it. And she chose to do nothing about it, and that's another story in itself. All true, of course. I thought I knew what I needed to know, but I had no idea. I was still very, very naive girl. So I didn't know the nature of the beast and the nature of sociopathy. That's the term I put on it. And this uncle came, and right away on his first day in California, he told me, yeah, so where are the keys to your car? And my reaction was, excuse me? I go to college and I need my car. I get that you're demanding to take possession of my car for your use. And I didn't tell it to him that way. My reaction was, excuse me? And his reaction was, how dare you question me? And in his manipulation, he went on to lie about, I came all the way from Portland, Oregon to California to help you, to help the strained relationship between you and your mother, who sacrificed so much for you. And you tell me that I cannot borrow your car? I cannot use your car? You should have filled it with gas and had it ready for me. Gaslighting. See, just about every video on YouTube by just about everyone is uncanny in describing the malignant narcissist slash sociopath slash psychopath. These videos and descriptions are textbook, and they so adequately, to the point of uncannily, describe these people. And it's straight across the board. No pun intended, because these acute condition people are not straight, but you know what I mean. They will gaslight you and manipulate you to no end. There is no end as long as you don't put an end to it, whether it's because you're uneducated about them. And initially, we all are uneducated about them. And even when we do learn about them, we allow them to violate us again and again and again. Sometimes some people allow them to violate until those people are completely destroyed. And then there's myself and people like me who eventually learn and do eventually put a stop to it, because we're not narcissistic, but we are self-preserving. And we do have self-respect. At that time, because I was so naive, I really was uneducated and I didn't know. So I quickly backed down. I said, oh, well, yeah, you're right. Well, let me go fill it with gas. I'll be right back. I went and I filled that vehicle with gas for him, and I brought it back and I handed him the keys for 2.5 weeks. And it was exactly 2.5 weeks that he drove my car, and every time the gas was empty, I was expected to fill it at my cost. And he never thanked me, and he continued to gaslight me. I came here for you. I paid for a round-trip plane ticket to help you. I'm here expressly for you. How dare you treat me in any way less than what I expect? This has inconvenienced me. And so on for the 2.5 weeks. I had to walk to college. Sometimes take the bus, most of the time walk, and find ways to get back and forth to work at the same time. These people don't have the ability to feel shame for what they do. They don't have the ability to empathize. They're missing the sensitivity chip. They are physically missing it, biologically missing it, and they don't care. And you cannot teach them. You cannot instill it in them. They will never absorb it because they're unable to. I went about life allowing this type of behavior from these type of people and deluding myself. My eyes adjusted emotionally because I told myself that it was okay. I told myself that I deserved to be mistreated. Your eyes should never adjust. But in these days where we can educate ourselves so much more easily and we know the truth, and naivete doesn't have to be so anymore, no matter how young you are, no matter who you are or where in the world you are. It's human nature that even armed with all of the knowledge that we have, we allow these things to be done to us, and allow it and allow it and allow it until we decide that it's cost us so much in varying ways that we're not going to allow it anymore. But don't punish yourself for that. Don't be down on yourself for that if you've been one of those people. Tell yourself that life is a process, and that you are in process, and that while it's not all right, there will come days that if you're open and you're receptive to change, good change will come about. It will, I promise you. And lately, in the past week or so, I've had a lot of revelations. Praying is so important, but praying without believing will never help you. It won't. I used to hear this all the time, but it never sunk in. And again, leaving myself open to answers. I discovered something in the last week, that when we pray and we don't believe, it's because we don't think that we deserve protection. We don't think that we deserve love, and therefore we don't deserve good things to come to us. Whatever you're praying for positivity, for good things for yourself, for change, for strength, for something good to happen for you, no matter what it is, for something good to happen for someone else, even for someone else, for something else, for yourself, for all of the above. You have to believe that even though you've been imperfect in your life, even though you've done wrong things, you're still a child of God, or however you want to consider that. You're still a child of the universe, and as that child, as that imperfect child, you still deserve unconditional love. And in unconditional love, you still deserve to be blessed with whatever it is you want that's good. And once you believe that it's the unconditional love that you deserve, that grace, despite whatever you've done, then good things, maybe slowly, maybe quickly, depends. But things do start happening for you instead of against you. If you're very religious or just very spiritual and your belief is in God, you have to believe that Jesus was not a shaman, Jesus was not a scam artist, Jesus was not a hypocrite. Jesus was the proverbial child of God, and God gave Jesus, literally Jesus's blood in the days that Jesus did walk the earth. Gave Jesus's blood for us because we're sinners. Not because we're good people. That's not it. Not because we did or would do anything to earn God's love. We can't earn God's love. We're always going to sin in some way, whether we realize it or not. That's why it's called grace, because we have God's love regardless, and it's grace. Not that we deserve it, but we're God's children. And if you believe that, then you will get good things in your life. And to believe it, you have to understand it. And it's very easy to understand. Simply, not that you should go on doing bad things, thinking that it's all right, because it's not. And not that you should be perfect either on the other end of the measuring stick. But if you sincerely put your bad behind you and you come to really feel regret for it, and truly and sincerely try to not do any more bad, then you can start believing in your mind, okay, in your mind, that as a child of God, you have God's unconditional love. You have God's unconditional love, and as long as you have God's unconditional love, as long as you believe it, and only you believe that, and you pray to God however you pray. There's no right way, there's no wrong way. There's only the true way. You will sooner or later get the good things that you pray for. It will happen. And that's the point of this blog today, is believing that you deserve, only as a child of God, you deserve goodness in your life. And while you're doing that, on one hand, also work on boundaries. Work on never letting your eyes adjust. Don't give in to the gaslighting. If right now you're with a narcissist, begin finding your way out. For most people, it's not a dry process, just like that. There's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of hesitation. Detachment is not easy. But know that you cannot stay in any situation with a narcissist. It never ends well. The most important thing to you in being true to yourself is getting out of that situation, whether it's a romantic relationship, whether it's with a parent, with a family member, with a coworker, in any capacity, is getting out of that relationship and or situation and staying out of it. All of the advice is true. You do have to go non-contact. Non-con is the only way, once you've made your decision to get out, because they will try to worm their way back in, but it never ends well. And you can tell yourself that this time it'll be different, and you can tell yourself the duration will be longer of the good versus the bad, but it won't. In a sea of bad, do not be optimistic and choose to see only the one good, because the one good can never outweigh all the bad that these people bring you. And the easiest way to see and accept that is this, and always remember this: you cannot cover the sun with one finger. You can do it, work on it. Work on it, and remember that you cannot cover the sun with one finger. It'll happen for you. And always, always keep your faith. And as long as you keep your faith will keep you and be with you. Bless you all. Bye.